My name's John. I'm based in Bangkok, Thailand. I'm British and I run a performance center here doing motion analysis, bike fits, aero fits, and physiology testing. And I'm an old man as well at 55. So today we're going to look at two things. First of all, the business model. And secondly, we're going to look at two case studies. One running outdoors and one cycling indoors. And I've given you an example of both so you can see how I've used LVS in my business with both of those. So when I saw LVS advertised, I can't remember when it was. It must have been the end of last year or beginning of this year when it was first launched. And my initial thought, first of all, was, wow, what an awesome piece of equipment you can just take outside. And then I think the question that comes into everyone's mind, first of all, is, oh, wait a minute, it's $500 a month. And $500 a month initially seems quite a lot, especially if you already have a Leomo Type R. So you're thinking to yourself, what's the added benefit of the LVS? And that's what I'll try and show you today. It doesn't mean to say it's the only way to use it, and it doesn't mean to say that it's not the best way to use it. There's a lot of people listening right now who probably have a lot more experience than me over the years in specialities, and I'm quite happy to after the webinar, we'll have some questions and answers. So please save your Q&A for finish, and I will try and run through as many as I can at the end. And if we can't get through all the questions, then we will message you with the answers. And also, if there's any videos that don't play particularly well right now, please don't worry, because it will be available on the Leomo YouTube, fully recorded to see. So I got my LVS. I spoke to Joe and Furrow in Leomo in Boulder, Colorado. And my initial concern was, how do I set it up? Because it looked complicated when you read the instructions. And like a lot of people, I hate reading manuals. Manuals can be quite difficult to read. But they've taken some time and put on YouTube some very short, simple, sequential videos on how to use it. So one, literally how to turn it on, two, how to connect, and so on and so on and so on. So those were incredibly useful and helped me get up and get started. And the next question, because you look at the photos and the videos and you go, wow, what a lot of graphs, what the hell do they mean? It's almost like mind-blowing. But then I looked at it and I realized that I could actually just look at one graph at a time, or two graphs, or three graphs. And I could take my time learning what they meant. The LVS guys are quite happy to give a 60-day completely free trial, which they did with me. So in those 60 days, I was able to assess and learn if I could use it or if I didn't want to use it. It's a win-win for everyone. If we don't want to use it, then you've lost nothing for 60 days. And initially, I know that there's a Leomo bike fitters group, and there was Camille, another guy, and Mark there asking me what I thought about it. And I said, give me some time and let me run through it and see if it's useful or not. And if I'm honest, the very first few days, I probably had a lot of doubts in my mind, but I certainly don't now, having used it for like, I think three to 4 months now. And the next question that came to mind was, I still don't understand X and Y, the positive and the negative numbers. So I just put the motion sensors on myself. I stood in front of the big screen with the LVS projected onto it. And I just moved my feet up and down, left and right, pelvis left and right, changing the graphs, looking at the accelerometers, the gyroscopes. And then it only took me probably 15, 20 minutes to fully understand what the X and the Y was meaning. It's a very simple exercise. And the next question was, I don't have knowledge of biomechanics. How the hell am I going to understand it? There's been a lot of great webinars and videos already from people like Sebastian Weber, Benito in Mexico, Joe, Hunter Allen, and they're all experts. And I think a lot of us don't have that depth of knowledge. So I asked my wife, I said, can you have a look at it and analyze it for me? And she has no background in sports science at all. She does my marketing. So she went away, she looked at it for about 30 minutes to an hour, and she came back with an analysis. And it's that analysis we're going to use today. So you don't have to have a detailed knowledge. The next question was, I already use a fit system. What's the added benefit of LVS? I think the added benefit to me is I can take it outside. There's a lot of great indoor systems, whether it be Retool, BioRacer, STT, and they're awesome. They're expensive as well. You know, you're looking $10,000 to $20,000 for those. And I would still say keep using them. But if you want to go outdoors in real time and be able to assess someone on the bike or running, you can do golf, you can do tennis, you can do actually any sport with this system in a real situation. There's a huge added benefit. So then I still had a doubt in my head about the costs. So I just broke them down very simply here to $500 per month, $6,000, an iPad, about $300. So we're looking at $6,300 per year, but bear in mind you get a free Type R worth $900. So you've got $5,400 or $450 monthly cost for the LVS. So then I thought, what service do I normally offer? And you've got some photos around here of us doing running analysis outside. You can see they've got the VO2 master analysis on. We're doing an insides test here. We can see we're doing some indoor testing here with the LVS and sensors attached. And the prices that I have put down are prices that I asked Camille. I think Camille's in Florida. Really nice bike fitting guy, very experienced, who travels the world doing stuff. So I asked him to give some average prices from the US. So my apologies if these prices don't fit in with where you are in the world. And then I also had a thought of, okay, so how much could I charge for LVS Motion as a standalone service? And that's probably $150 to $200 US. So I then had to think in my head, what's the break-even point? And the break-even point actually isn't that much. You only need to be selling an additional 3 bike fits or physiology tests per month to be able to start breaking even. And although I'm not a fan of discounting, I am a big fan of putting a package together. So if you're already doing, let's say, a physiology test, it could be an FTP test on the bike in the lab. It could be a running test outside. It doesn't matter, indoors, outdoors, or whichever aspect of sport you're looking at. You're already using that time for your FTP tests. So if we just put in the sensors on, you're giving 2 services for the same amount of time, but making an extra $100 for each service. And it's worked really well for us. We've had so many people that have booked in and asked to add that service on for us. You could look at it another way and say, I've already do 10 physiology tests and 10 outdoor error tests per month. So if I'm adding an extra $100 to 10 tests per month, that's $1,000 for error testing additional, and $1,000 extra for adding the LVS onto the physiology tests. That's a total additional income of, say, $2,000, less the monthly cost. So you're looking at $1,500 per month, or $12,000 a year. And $12,000 per year for just a little bit of extra analysis, I think is well worth it. So the first case study is a Thai gentleman that I coach called Yacht. Yacht's 33. I've been coaching Yacht for what, three to 4 years. Initially, he was just a cyclist, and then he phoned me one day and said, I want to do a triathlon. I said, fine, we can get you ready for that. And I said, what do you want to do, start the sprint? And he goes, no, 70.3. Okay. I said, when? He goes, 8 weeks. I went, oh my God, 8 weeks. So he'd never run. He'd done some swimming for fun in the past. So we had 8 weeks to get him ready. So we did get him ready. He did 5:45 for his first ever triathlon with 70.3, which was quite impressive. But he had some injury problems, and those injury problems are probably a case of his body wasn't ready for that. Even though I'd said it a little bit too much for this first triathlon, he wanted to do it. And we all know that when clients want to do something, they never listen to what we say anyway. Whether that be doing a bike fit and saying you can't go lower, and they go away, and how many people then come back and say they've got a bad back because they put their bars lower by themselves. So we know they don't listen to us all the time. So anyway, we added LVS motion analysis onto his physiology test for running, which we'd already booked. So we can see here, he's wearing the VO2 master for testing, and down here, difficult to see, but he's got the sensors on both feet, he's got them on both legs, and I've got them on his back, on his pelvis. I know Joe likes to use the torso. I want to look at the pelvis to see a little bit more what was going on with this area, because he had an injury which was preventing him running properly. So hopefully you can see this video, which I've slowed down. So this is what you see. And in slow motion, look at the feet. As the feet are landing, it's very clear to see in slow motion that, and look at the left foot. The left foot is phenomenal that it's turning out to the left every single time. Let's go back so we can see it a bit clearer. And we can see the right foot. So if I now take you back, just a minute, 2 seconds. Just bear with me, got a problem with the, okay. Right, so if we're now looking, if we gradually, if you look at the numbers up here a minute, and the numbers down here, you can see, look at the numbers here when they peak at 610 degrees per second. Look at his left foot, how it's really rotating out there. Now, I know that Joe, in his previous webinar, said, look at the video first and look at the graph. And for Joe, that works because Joe's an expert in biomechanics. But for some of us, we don't have such a good eye. So it's clear to see, and this is how my wife Ching looked at it. She looked at the graph. It was super clear to be able to see that the peaks here are just not even. And if we go further along to look at the right one, and we can see here, so that you can see the right, although it's landing badly, it's not landing as badly as the left foot. And the great function is you can just sit there and play around with this as much as you want. Slow motion, fast motion, zoom in, zoom out. You can zoom in on the pelvis, you can zoom in on the legs, the torso. You can dig as deep or not as deep as you need to. So to make this simpler, We can see here the left foot rotation. It's really clear to see what's happening here. And we can see in degrees per second on the gyroscope, you can see that's hitting a massive 610. Whereas the right foot, although it's not good, it's not quite as bad. And again, it's something you can use and actually show your customers. A lot of customers don't believe us when we say that your running form is bad or your cycling form is bad or whatever else. But with this, it's something you can show them, play back, and they suddenly get it. And they can take it away as well. So they can take this away and they've got a video forever they can show their friends to really help with your marketing. Now the knee was more interesting. So this is the knee here, and this is the left foot here. The left foot is clear to see the foot and the knee, they collapse outwards at pretty much the same time. But the right foot lands, and then that collapses a little bit later. It's not in sync like it is here. So there's something going on with his right foot that's worse than the left one, even though the left one rotates out. Now, I'm not a physiotherapist. I'm not an expert in biomechanics, although I have worked at universities with physiology. Biomechanics is not my forte, but it's clear to see something's wrong. So I could work through step by step. I can look at 2, 4, 6 graphs. I can change the graphs until I find a graph that isn't quite right. And then from there, I can eliminate. So it's a step-by-step process. The first graph, you may not see something. The second graph is what you're looking for. And it just takes a little bit of time and practice to run through that. But after 2 to 3 weeks, I really got it quickly. And after 60 days, I was really happy with the service. A good idea also is to be able to use it in conjunction with other products. It could be with Garmin, it could be with Stride. We do a lot of work with Stride Power, and their metrics are fantastic. For this case, we're using Garmin. And you can see during his physiology test, we did 3 different paces, 5, 4, and 2:38. And you can see the ground contact time for left, right, left, right, left, right is clearly different as well. So it works in conjunction with the LVS. So it's something that once you've corrected the customer's problem, they've been to see the physiotherapist and they're fixed, this is something you can then go back to as they're training and look at their data from training to see how it's been corrected. And it could be exactly the same on the bike, whether that be left, right, power, or whether it be torque, or whether it be pedal smoothness. You can track your client to see how they're improving over time after you've corrected them. And again, I said I'm not a physiotherapist, I'm not a strength and conditioning coach, I'm not a biomechanics specialist. So I try and work with other health professionals to share their expertise. And one of the physiotherapists that I work with is a really nice lady here. Her name is Gift. Thais have really weird nicknames. My wife's name is Puttamasama Votana, but her nickname is Ching. So Ching is way easier to understand. So anyway, Gift is head of physiotherapy at Thammasat University, where I used to work. She's worked with a lot of sports people, national teams. So my suggestion is find a physio who has experience in sport. Most physios are really good anyway, but just find one that's a specialist, got some experience, and someone that you find you can talk with and discuss. So what I did with Gift was I sent her the video, and in the video there's a function for notes. So I put in the notes and I say, Gift, this is Yacht's running form. Please note left and right feet, etc., etc., etc. So Yacht goes and visits the physio for analysis. and she comes back with a the balance between the muscles around the knee joint. She'd analyzed that the weakness is because he has really bad core muscle and glute strength, which is increasing the quadricep and hamstrings to overwork. Now, I can spot there's something wrong, but it takes a professional to work out why. So visit Yacht, goes and sees Gift. You can see on the left here, there's a video. There we go, there's a video here showing an exercise to strengthen the glutes, and another exercise here. So Yacht's gone away, and the physiotherapist is happy because I've sent her business. She gives me a commission. Conversely, if she has a client who's an athlete that has an issue, she doesn't know why that issue is happening during their bike or run, she sends them to me and I give her a commission. So it's cross referrals, we're all making money and we're all staying professional. Another aspect is using the Type R after the LVS. So that the customer has gone away, I lend them or rent them out the Type R, and I'm asking them on the right to activate their core and activate their glutes, and look how stable the pelvic rotation and the pelvic rock is. Whereas on the left, you can see that there's just very little stability. So it's a great example of having tested with the LVS, how you can then move on to help use the Type R. So again, another method for gaining additional income we found is we're taking to running shops. We're doing a function, I think it's next weekend, where it's Averin running shops in Thailand, and we're going there to demo the LVS and Stride and VO2 Master for 2 days. We will make the profit from all the referrals that come, and they'll make the profit from whatever they sell at the time, whether that be various running shoes. Quite often it's the running shoes that's causing the problem, whether they be old or just the wrong shoes. We actually took it to a hotel in Phuket and used their facilities for a week. And we were fully booked for 5 days because there's different client bases elsewhere, and everything that we have is mobile. So this is actually the hotel room. So we set up our trainer, we set up our error testing, we set up the Leomo and LVS, we had our VO2 Master, and that just went into 2 suitcases. I think it was like 30 to 40 kilograms to take with us. So it's so easy to take mobile. We did outdoor testing as well as indoor testing while we were there. Now the second case is looking at some indoor testing for a bike fit. This is Jens. Now Jens had an accident recently. He'd been knocked off by a motorbike that was coming the wrong way towards him, which is quite the norm in Thailand. They just come down at full speed, straight towards you. So he is still sitting low because he had some real issues with his knee and his back after his injury. So he's sitting lower than I would like, but until his injuries are fixed, we'll keep him like that and come back for a follow-up to see how he is. And one of the functions on the Type R is you look at dead spot. So the dead spot score, how smooth is your pedaling circle? And although it doesn't have to be 0, and it doesn't really matter if it's like 2, 3, or 4, probably not. But if there is an imbalance like this, you've got an imbalance here of 16 on the left and 0 on the right, there's obviously something going on. Now the Type R doesn't tell us why that's happening. You need to be able to dig deeper and see what's happening. So we dug a little bit deeper, and I went through 3 or 4 sets of graphs. And if you look at the left knee and right knee on the x-axis, which is the left to right rotation, so it's moving left to right. On this one, look at the difference between the left and the right knee. So it's clear that something's going on with the left knee. Whereas we look over here and we can see that the left knee and the right knee are fairly even. So that's why we got a dead spot of 0 on there, which is pretty good. And the way we did that was we actually took him off the bike, we popped him on the massage table, we gave him a few stretching exercises for his hip flexor and his glute, and we also gave him some exercises to activate his glutes. And he came back and he had a dead spot score of 0. So it wasn't, in this case, even trying to change the fit to get rid of the dead spot score. It was trying to work out what was happening. And the simplest way for that is I just press a thumb into his glute muscles on the left and right. That sounds a bit weird, but and on the right, I could feel that the glute was activating. But on the left, it was clear there was no activation. It was still soft. There was nothing happening. And it's very, very easy to do that. I think the biggest thing that I found with LVS and Leomo, it's how we ride or run technically. We all spend a lot of time looking at power, cadence, maximum aerodynamics, and there's a lot of you out there who are awesome bike fitters who know exactly what you're doing, and you're getting those quality of patterns right, maybe already. But this allows you to dig a little bit deeper, especially in real time outside. And the way that I found it really useful is getting people, if they're doing a physiology test, various intensities, or you send them out training and you get them to do some various intensities and duration so that we can see what's happening when fatigue sets in. And I try and link it, if I can, to saddle pressure and insole pressure mapping. I use Weaver, but GBMI is an equally fantastic product. Doesn't really matter which one you use. And another technology that we've used is a machine called Magnetic Days that actually measures, and you can fix as like an erg, Newton force. So you imagine that's like torque, Newton force. And from that, I can see at which point there may be lifting off the saddle, and with the LVS, how something is now, the pattern, the quality of that pattern is going down. They're dropping their right hip, their left knee is kicking out, or whatever else. So it's combining it with other technology to try and see what happens. I know Sebastian Weber did some work with GBMIs, with the insoles and the saddle pressure, to see what's happening when you're pushing down too hard into the insoles at a very high torque or newtons. Then you're actually lifting the body off the saddle, which then could quite easily be causing some issues around here. So if you're using the Magnetic Days Newton force, you can actually get people to train at a particular torque to gradually increase their strength. But often it's an issue around here. So combining their technologies, the LVS will dig deeper to be able to show us where that issue is happening when you're doing something wrong or the body just doesn't like. Understanding what's happening in fatigue, I think, has been really useful, because I've had a lot of people who have injuries, whether that injury be quite typical, let's say lower back. A lot of cyclists come in with lower back pain. And I say, why have you got a lower back pain? They go, I don't know. So you give them the bike fit, they go away, and they come back to you and they say, John, I've still got lower back pain. I said, why? They go, I did a 500 kilometer Audax and my back hurts. And so, and I can hear people laughing now. It's people do weird things. They don't listen. They don't tell you what they're doing. If I did 500 kilometers, my lower back would probably hurt as well, because I haven't been training enough recently to be able to cope with that distance. So what I'm saying is we can prevent injuries as long as people listen to us. And you can look at and find out, is it the equipment or the position? Now, a lot of great bike fitters out there, you'll get your position spot on, and you'll say to a customer, hey, I don't want to change saddle, I don't want to buy anything new, and you go, fine. I'm not a big fan of forcing people to sell. They go out, they've still got a problem. So I then invite them back in, and I'll say, let's try that saddle we suggested. And they go, okay. So they try the saddle, you can send them out there and then. With the Leomo on, you take the LVS outside, they ride up and down the street, or we've got a golf course next to us that we use, and straight away we can analyze and show them, say, hey, look, this is your LVS, and look at how the pelvis is rotating and rocking an awful lot in your old saddle, but look at the new saddle, and you've made another sale there. That could also be insoles, running, cycling, whichever you find works best for you. Marketing focus, and again, my wife takes care of the marketing, and she's an amazing job for us. I think the biggest thing for us is that everything we use, you can use in outdoor testing in real time. And that's where LVS has really stood out for us. Facebook is huge in Thailand. I think we have 25,000 Facebook fans on our Facebook page, but very few people have a website. So it depends where you are, whether you use Twitter, Facebook, a website, it doesn't really matter. The fact is it's very visual. Look at all these graphs, and people don't necessarily have to understand those graphs in the marketing. They need to understand the benefits of those graphs after they've had the initial wow factor. That's a really interesting photo or video. I said we've taken it to Phuket. We're taking it to Indonesia in a couple of weeks, and we've also been asked to go to Japan with a good friend of mine, Tim Smith, over there, who's even older and more grumpy than I am. So I hope he's listening, and he'll send me a message in a minute. Now, a huge pro that I found is there's no extra testing time. So if someone's come for a physiology test, then you've got no extra time to add them in. It's maximizing your time. A video for the client to keep. So once you've made the video, that video is there forever. You can send them a moment of the video, like just say 30 seconds. You can send them the full 20 minutes. But once they've got that video, it's just incredibly easy to show friends on their phone, on social media, to share, and they're doing the marketing for you. If you go away with a piece of paper with the your various angles from Retool, it's an awesome piece of paper with a lot of information, but it's not the same impact as having a video that you can show people with changes in position, the various graphs, what's happening to your body indoors and outdoors. The benefits that we've found to the business since we've started using it have actually been quite big. We've had more bookings, a lot of interest. And I think the benefit I've already mentioned are they're great visuals for social media marketing. If you show a photo, you get like 10 likes. You put a video on, you get 800 watches. And that's quite impressive. And again, we found we were expanding our business by taking it to places. We're in Bangkok. We've got a fairly big demographic and area, but there comes a point when you've done a lot of work here and the business might start dropping off. So why not take it to a different state, province? I know that Camille also travels off to some of the Arabic countries and works there. So it's an added bonus. The post analysis is, you can customize it. You can dig as deep or as little as you want. It's an amazing coaching tool. I think when you've got someone outside, it's completely different to the lab. Outside, inside is the lab. You're in a fixed position, whether that be running or cycling, and it's not quite the same as being outside. So once you're outside, you can actually get them riding, whether it be a velodrome, whether it be a piece of road where they can ride up and down. The LVS, you can either follow them to sync it, you can just wait for them to come back on their laps, and it will automatically sync the Type R with the LVS. And you can see what's happening in real time, but also you can go back and you can say, I know Sebastian Weber did a lot of work on this as well. How many times did you actually drop your head when you were in the aero position, the aero helmet on? Or you look absolutely fantastic on your road bike when you're riding at and just above FTP, but as soon as you start sprinting, you're all over the place, and your right glute is dropping down, or your right arm is dropping down, or whatever else. So you're getting to see a more overall picture of what's happening for the whole thing. And we found in particular, we're standing out from our competitors, other people offering similar services. I think you have to be careful you don't overbuy technology, and we need an understanding of the technology that we're using. And some people don't have that in-depth knowledge, but with the LVS, I'm actually quite surprised how easy it was to go in, use, understand, and visually, people now understand what's wrong with them when we show it to them. And again, we're maximizing the use of equipment with a minimum of time. We're adding extra services and we're getting more money in. It takes a little bit of time to analyze. Of course it does. But that analysis makes them a better athlete. They go away happier. They tell their friends. So it's all pretty worth it. The marketing tips we found is that the videos and photos need to be a source of education as well with real customers. So as well as having a video that says, hey, look at this fantastic video, we can have an education like the video that we saw earlier of Yacht running, and showing them the problems and how to fix those problems. You can show the analysis reports online, and again, they look fantastic. If you go to an expo, it's testing equipment that you can take to an expo booth, whatever, which works in real time. It's very difficult to take something like Retool with you to set up and run with all the lights flashing around. So that we're doing that next week, I think, with a running expo coming up. And again, it's added value to services because we're combining it with existing technology. And we're using all the assets from the Leomo Facebook and websites. So if you go into the Leomo Facebook and websites, they already have a stack of videos and photos and some examples you can use. In Asia, people love the wow factor. That may not be quite the case in the US or Europe. I know it used to be like the little stick man from other bike fitting services with the wow factor, but now there's a lot of wow factors with stick men out there. This is something new. They go, it's have you seen what's at JJ Pro, or what's Camille using, or what's Joe using at Leomo in Boulder? And it does give an incredibly good overall picture of it. So it's the guys at Leomo, Faru and Joe, they've agreed to give it for 60 days with no obligation at all. So why don't you just book a 30-minute chat with Joe or Faru from Leomo, run through the basics, test it, and see if it's something you find useful, if you can use it. If you don't, you've lost absolutely nothing. And 60 days is 60 days. If it was a week, it's not enough time. 30 days could be enough time, but 60 days allows you plenty of time to clear in your head and work out if it would work in your business model or not. And I know that Camille asked me the question when I first got it, And he said, what do you think about LVS? And I said, not sure. I spoke to him recently and I said, now I'm sure. Now I know that we can make it work, and it's easy to use. So we'll move on to some Q&A in a minute. But first of all, I'd like to thank you all for watching today's webinar. I know I haven't gone into things particularly technical, and there's a lot of guys out there that are already doing fantastic work. So I just hope that what I explained was okay. And if you have any questions after the webinar, you can find me jjcoach555@gmail.com. I'm happy to help you, or just email Joe and Faru at support@leomo.io.